Invincible, one of my favorite series, and we're about to deep dive into why Omni-Man is the scariest villain of our generation.
They're cavemen without us. I will burn this planet down.
Trust me, it's gonna be a wild ride. So, Invincible swooped into our lives and it was like a breath of fresh air, especially when superhero shows can sometimes feel a little bit stale. But this series changed the game, and at the heart of it all is Omni-Man, the daddy of all villains. Episode 1 kicks off by introducing us to Mark, the titular character, and his dad, Omni-Man. At first glance, you might think it's just another Superman spin-off, but hold your horses. Throughout the first episode, we get a taste of Mark grappling with his newfound powers and a dash of Omni-Man's origin story. We're fed a story about Viltrum, Omni-Man's supposed utopian homeland, which, by the way, turns out to be a bunch of lies. They outlawed murder and war, became cosmic travelers, improved planets, and yeah, it's a lot to take in. Nolan, or Omni-Man as he likes to call himself, was assigned Earth and decided to make it his second home. Fast forward, he meets a woman named Debbie. They settle down, have a kid, and that's Mark. And Omni-Man becomes Earth's self-proclaimed protector. But it's all a facade. The finale drops a bomb, and let me tell you, it's pretty sick to say the least. Now, let's talk about why Omni-Man is not your typical villain.
My turn.
We live in a world where heroes are put on pedestals, but surprisingly, they're often not what they seem. Omni-Man embodies this perfectly. In episode 1's post-credit scene, he goes all out and massacres the Guardians of the Globe, leaving us wondering if he's under mind control, a clone, something else entirely.
Someone must be controlling him. He would never do this.
Even after the truth surfaces in episode 8, some folks were still rooting for him. People refused to believe the truth about someone they idolized. Omni-Man challenges our perception of heroes, making us question if we'd still support them even when they're not so heroic. The plot thickens as we dive into the twisted history of Viltrum. Turns out their utopia wasn't all rainbows and butterflies. The High Council forced their own people to fight to the death to weed out the weak, a Darwinian nightmare. This wiped out half of the Viltrumites, leaving only the cream of the crop. And the side note that's pretty scary is that Omni-Man, even after all he's done, is probably the nicest Viltrumite out there. We have Mark, but he's part human. To spread their dominion, they send out the World Conquering Committee. Planets had two options: surrender and become slaves, or resist and face annihilation. Omni-Man, or Nolan, presents Earth with a similar ultimatum: join the Viltrumite Empire, enjoy advanced medical care, end wars, and live in peace until extinction. Sounds tempting, right? Omni-Man genuinely believes he's doing the right thing. He sees Earth joining the Empire as a win-win. Despite the whole wiping out humanity part, Nolan doesn't see himself as the bad guy. He's just playing his part in this grand plan. Sure, he can destroy cities with ease, beat his own son to a pulp, and has more natural abilities than a Viltrumite buffet, but he can be defeated emotionally. As Viltrumites age slowly, Mark's gonna outlive everyone he loves. Omni-Man's realization that he'll have nothing left but Mark in thousands of years breaks him. Let's rewind a bit to Omni-Man's roots on planet Viltrum.
By the time I was born, Viltrum was already the greatest empire in our galaxy.
This place shaped him into the superhuman he is, a warrior with a one-track mind for conquering and expanding. Emotions, weakness, personal relationships, ain't nobody got time for that. But here's where it gets interesting. Nolan starts catching feelings for Earth, falls head over heels for a human woman, and even starts a family. Now, this puts a dent on his whole conquer and dominate plan. Throughout the series, we witness Omni-Man wrestling with his inner demons. He's got this duty thing drilled into him since day one, but darn it, he's developed a soft spot for Earth and its inhabitants. It's like trying to enjoy a peaceful picnic while being attacked by mosquitoes. You can't quite fully savor the moment. His love for his family complicates matters, making it harder for him to follow through with his cosmic conquering mission.
Your mom changed everything. She turned this place from a job to a home.
The big climax comes when the Viltrumite army rolls up to Earth, ready to turn it into Viltrumite Central. Now, Omni-Man has to choose his people or his family and humanity in the ultimate "it's not you, it's me" moment, but on a cosmic scale. In a plot twist that makes your favorite mystery novel look predictable, Omni-Man flips the script and fights against his own people, joining forces with Mark and Earth's defenders. In the finale, after a brutal breakdown, Nolan questions Mark about his future in a world without loved ones. Mark's response shatters Omni-Man's worldview. Flashback to a time where he saw the good in humanity, his son's smile while playing baseball. Suddenly, the emotionless warrior sees people the more than just weaklings to be eradicated. It's a plot twist that hits harder than a plot twist in a plot twist. More in details within a second. Villains, like the best heroes, are flawed. Omni-Man represents this internal struggle, a clash between conviction and the undeniable pull of empathy. Omni-Man doesn't do a 180-degree turn, but he's visibly broken. If you've read the comics, you know there's a redemption arc waiting in the wings. I won't spill the beans, but it's juicy, trust me. Now, let's dive into the nitty-gritty of why Omni-Man is the scariest villain in recent memory.
So much effort. For what?
Remember that train scene? Omni-Man used Invincible as a wrecking ball, obliterating the whole train and proving that crushing cities is just another day at the office? Homelander might have strength, but Omni-Man's got finesse. Omni-Man, in a twisted display of tough love, beats Mark nearly to death.
Think, Mark!
It's a sickening portrayal of a father willing to sacrifice his own blood for his cause. The complex father-son dynamic takes a dark turn, leaving viewers gasping. Omni-Man tries to break Mark's spirit through violence and a brutal beating, but in the end, his own spirit was crushed by the knowledge that his own son still loved him despite the horrific things he was doing to him.
You, Dad. I still have you.
Hats off to the writers. The fact that after this entire conflict, Mark calls Omni-Man Dad hits so hard for both the viewers and Nolan.
Dad?
And the sounds Mark is making when he says, "I'll still have you, Dad," are just heartbreaking. It is ghastly realistic and tear-bringing, and the voice acting deserves an award for this scene. Homelander may have powers, but Omni-Man's got the natural stuff. No artificial serum here, just pure Viltrumite DNA. That makes him practically indestructible. Advantage, Omni-Man. I mean, this is the scene that shows just how strong he actually is.
You don't seem to understand. Earth isn't yours to conquer.
No playing around, just letting loose all the powers and destroying an entire planet. He wipes out the Guardians of the Globe solo. Premeditated plan and all. Brains and brawn. Omni-Man's got the whole villain package. People often talk about how strong he is, but I actually have to highlight how smart he is. For example, when he went for the strongest of the pack first against the Guardians, he knows what he's doing. Omni-Man is part of a galactic empire with an army of Viltrumites ready to conquer. Earth's in deep trouble, especially when you realize there's more than one Omni-Man in the cosmic mix. What makes Omni-Man truly terrifying isn't just his physical prowess or diabolical plans, it's the emotional rollercoaster he takes us on, challenging our perception of heroes and villains. He's not a cookie-cutter bad guy. He's a flawed, broken father figure, trying to reconcile his beliefs with the reality of humanity. So, as we eagerly await the rest of Season 2 of Invincible, remember that Omni-Man isn't just a villain. He's a mirror reflecting the fears and complexities of loving someone who's not who they say they are.